Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be shedding light on the ample benefits appertaining to conducting a cost-benefit analysis before implementing major decisions. So, why would it behoove you to conduct a cost-benefit analysis prior to the advent of implementing major decisions? Without further ado, without further delay, allow me to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here, right now. Fortunately, much of my relief, much of my elation, much of my gratification, it is eminently beneficent to implement a cost-benefit analysis before implementing major decisions. The benefits that you can reap by implementing a cost-benefit analysis preponderantly outweigh the costs of undergoing a cost-benefit analysis. Sure, when you undergo a cost-benefit analysis, you wind up expending mental bandwidth, energy, time, and of course, effort. Nonetheless, it is still a warranted pursuit. It is still a merited, vindicated pursuit because it can help you to preempt making abysmal, insalubrious, inimical, unfruitful, asinine, illogical, irrational, gormless, decisions. So, you want to be able to leverage the cost-benefit analysis as a tool to guide the decision-making process so that you have some semblance of guidance part of the advent of implementing major decisions. It will deter you to implement abysmal decisions in which the costs incurred by undergoing those decisions preponderantly outweigh the benefits reaped by undergoing those decisions. And when you can consecutively implement optimal decisions, you can yield more favorable results in your life. So, when you can implement impeccable decisions, you're more apt to reach your higher aspirations and reach your overarching goals. When you can implement more optimal decisions, you're all the more poised, you're all the more primed, you're all the more apt to be able to live a more meaningful, fulfilling, eventful, inspirational, laudable, worthwhile life. And when you can implement optimal decisions, you're all the more apt to actualize your latent potential. It's much easier to make inroads in your life towards success when you are consecutively implementing optimal decisions than it is if you are implementing poor, abysmal, unfruitful, inimical, insalubrious, gormless, asinine, illogical, impetuous, irrational decisions. Making abysmal decisions can profusely set you back. In life, you never want to regress. You never want to stagnate. You never want to be impeded, nor encumbered, nor obstructed, nor stymied, nor stifled. So do not allow your decisions to decelerate your personal growth. It's easier to attain exponential personal growth when you are implementing optimal decisions. Your life has more semblance of order, and it's easier to make progress in life when your decisions are optimal. So when you conduct a cost-benefit analysis before implementing major decisions, you're all the more apt, all the more poised, all the more primed to undergo fruitful, prudent, shrewd, results-yielding decisions that are apt to bear fruitful outcomes. And when you can yield fruitful outcomes in life, you're the more apt to be able to manifest a prosperous, auspicious, abundant, and blissful future in your reality. You want to be able to yield the best possible outcomes in life. So, if you're living your life on autopilot, and if you shirk on conducting a cost-benefit analysis before implementing a major decision, or if you do a slipshod, slapdash job when you're conducting a cost-benefit analysis, it can read down to your disadvantage if the major decision that you implement culminates in being an unwarranted decision. And you want to be able to preempt, preclude, avert, and prevent implementing unwarranted decisions. And that's where the cost-benefit analysis comes into play. It comes into play as a tool to guide the decision-making process. The outcome of the cost-benefit analysis can determine whether or not a decision is warranted or unwarranted. If it is deemed to be unwarranted, then it should be forgone. However, if it is deemed to be warranted, then it should more than likely be pursued. So just take heed of conducting a cost-benefit analysis before implementing major decisions. It is eminently beneficent to implement a cost-benefit analysis before undergoing major decisions. I should say before deciding whether or not decisions should be undergone. Most of the time you will implement decisions and you will find that the upsides preponderantly outweigh the costs associated with undergoing a decision. However, that's not always the case. And you should always perform your due diligence and utilize your meticulous mindset to your advantage. Account for all the covert costs as well as all the potential benefits appertaining to undergoing a decision before you make a determination of whether or not the decision is warranted. And even if the outcome of the cost-benefit analysis proves that the decision is warranted, you can still defer to the judgment of others. You can still glean insights from others. You can still consult others to gain additional insights as to whether or not a decision is warranted, because you may have neglected to include some variables in your cost-benefit analysis, and there may have been other factors, all these other exogenous factors that you overlooked. So make sure you understand that your cost-benefit analysis should be formed with the utmost diligence and sedulousness. And it should be comprehensive. It should take into account the totality of potential benefits and potential costs appertaining to undergoing a decision. After you deduct all the potential costs from the potential benefits, if the decision still proves to be beneficent, if the costs still prove to, I meant to say if the benefits still prove to preponderantly outweigh the costs, then it is more than likely a warranted decision to undergo. So, when you're undergoing warranted, vindicated, justified, worthwhile decisions, it can change the trajectory of your life. It can help you to thrust your life into a forward movement trajectory. We always want to progress. I never decelerate our rate of progression. Abysmal decisions can profusely set you back. They can, for instance, cause you to incur insurmountable debt. They can also cause you to become impoverished, indigent, or even destitute. So, to recapitulate in sum, the bridge version is that there are ample benefits appertaining to conducting a cost-benefit analysis before implementing major decisions. It will help you to preclude making abysmal decisions, and it will help you to more consecutively implement optimal decisions. And when you implement more optimal decisions, you're all the more apt to yield more favorable results in life. Even though we are not prophetic nor clairvoyant as human beings in the digital era, We should still take heed of leveraging the cost-benefit analysis to provide us with some semblance of guidance amid the decision-making process. We cannot extrapolate all of the potential outcomes that our decisions will yield, since the future is enigmatic and obscured beyond a veil of time. But that does not mean that we should be ignorant about the decisions that we are making. We should still perform our due diligence and not be ignorant and remain steadfast in conducting a cost-benefit analysis before undergoing major decisions. We want to know what the implications will be. We want to know what outcomes will be yielded. Even though the future is unpredictable, we're still better off having some semblance of guidance and no guidance at all. And even if the outcome of the cost-benefit analysis shows that a decision is presumably favorable, it may not be, but however, you're better off making a rational decision or an evidence-based decision than just making a desultory decision that is not an evidence-based decision. If you're implementing evidence-based decisions, they're all the more apt to be optimal than non-evidence-based decisions. It is as simple as that. You do not need to be desultory. You do not need to be ignorant. Take into account all the benefits and all the costs before conducting your cost-benefit analysis, and perform your cost-benefit analysis as deemed necessary so that you can implement more optimal decisions in your life. Making a major decision that culminates in being an abysmal decision can profusely set you back for years, especially if it culminates in you becoming insurmountably indebted. It's arduous to pull yourself out of the muck and mire, and life is already cumbersome enough. You do not need to exacerbate your life. You do not need to degrade your standard of living, and you do not need to succumb to making inimical, internecine, insalubrious, unfruitful, unproductive, direful, calamitous, abysmal, egregious, wretched, imprudent, gormless, asinine decisions. So, leverage the cost-benefit analysis so that you can make more optimal decisions. And if you can implement more optimal decisions, you're going to be all the more apt to reach your overarching goals and reach your higher aspirations and actualize your latent potential and bring your dreams to fruition. Because when you're implementing more optimal decisions, it helps you to thrust your life into a forward movement trajectory, and you become less prone, less vulnerable, less susceptible to regressing. You want your life to have some semblance. Well, I should say ideally you want your life to have stability. And when you're implementing abysmal decisions, your life is going to become all the more precarious, and you're more susceptible to regressing in life. Whereas if your life is stable, it's easier to reach your overarching goals and reach your higher aspirations and actualize your latent potential and exponentially attain personal growth, since it provides a stable foundation for thrusting your life into a forward movement trajectory. However, if you cannot attain your basic needs and you're in survival mode, the last thing on your mind is reaching your higher aspirations and overarching goals and bringing your ambitious, lofty, grandiose, overarching dreams to fruition. So we want to be able to attain stability in our lives and order in our lives. And if we can do so, it can essentially create the framework for being able to live successful lives. You have no basis for a future if you keep regressing. We want to create a solid foundation for ourselves, and by implementing optimal decisions, it is conducive to creating a solid foundation for ourselves, which can at least be an opportunity for us to thrust our lives into a forward movement trajectory if we have stability in our lives. Having a solid foundation in your life can be a cornerstone behind your success. We don't have to worry about surviving per se. Then you could focus on attaining your overarching goals and higher aspirations and actualizing your latent potential and manifesting your ambitious, lofty, grandiose dreams into reality. So having a solid foundation can indeed be a cornerstone behind your success, since it provides a basis for having a future. So, I hope that you found this video to be insightful as well as enthralling. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.